Navigant Credit Union President and CEO Kathy Orovitz joins us today on the podcast. Welcome back to Bartholomew Town. And as always, great to see you.
It's great to see you again, Bill. Thanks so much for having me.
We were kind of talking offline, a lot of things happening in your world, a lot of things happening in our world as well, in everyone's world. But what are you seeing right now in terms of the impact that Navigant is having statewide? What are you hearing from people?
Yeah, I feel like we're back to basics. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of uncertainty. We certainly know that in terms of consumer sentiment, but we're leaning into it and we're just much more involved for the right reasons. And it's just feeling like we're a community again. That is what has been emerging. And it's not anything different than what we've been doing in our history. But at a time, I think this is at a time when people need to know they've got a trusted partner. So it's been feeling pretty good as we're out and about in the business community.
Yeah, a trusted partner in any aspect of someone's life right now. It's something that I took for granted in a lot of areas. And today it feels a bit scarce. So are you feeling that from people, a sense of relief when you build these relationships that are now, in some cases, decades long?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Is you when you have things going on in the global economy or even the local economy that are unsettling, it's nice to sit down and have a conversation and say, "Hey, we're here for you. We've always been here. How can we help?" And it goes beyond, I think, just the basic banking. We become consultative and advisors and many other things. We can do that as a network, 450 of us, because these are our neighbors. We live and work in our state. And so we're involved very much in organizations and in the community. And so they see us around. We're a known commodity. And so I think that is what bridges that. And it feels good.
Let's talk about Navigant on an internal basis, because, look, there's a lot of organizations in Rhode Island right now that are, they try to position themselves and why they have their presence here is a good investment for the state from a financial standpoint. But from a broader well-being standpoint, strong employers are so fundamental to the state on a psychological level, and then in turn on a public health level, and then in turn on ultimately an economic level. So Navigant is reputationally a place with strong company culture. What frames the Navigant philosophy?
Yeah, I think part of it is it was daunting when I came in, and that was in 2022 because I had big shoes to fill. But I think part of it is our heritage and never forgetting where we come from. So 111 years ago, we were formed for a community need. Neighbors coming together, putting their own money together to give access to people who otherwise wouldn't have access, and then staying connected as a community. Now you kind of take it and fast forward, and we have the same philosophy. It's deeply rooted in people. And so you talk about an organizational culture, where I see, if maybe we take a step back, the trend being you get caught up in everybody is trying to scale operations because costs are through the roof and focused on AI and technology advancements. And I'm not saying we're not focused on that growth. We are. You have to be. But everything we do is intentional and it's related to, well, what's the impact to our employee? What's the impact to the member or the consumer? And I think because we lead with that first, we've been able to really harness and protect, if you will, or insulate the culture. Everything we do is for our employees first and foremost, and that has been something that I hope to continue for years to come.
How does that in turn impact member experience?
Yeah, I think in a very positive way because, part of it is, how do you differentiate yourself? I always say it's like the sea of sameness sometimes when you look out into the banking community. But part of it is that we have trusted relationships. So if we bank local as much as we can, and these aren't just vendors, these are partners, these are people that we build relationships with. We do that with the member experience in mind. So anybody we bring to the table has to add value sort of incrementally to that extraordinary service experience. Otherwise, it's not just the shiny new tool or AI engine that we should just buckle on. It has to have a purpose and it has to meet a need. And part of how we keep ourselves disciplined for that is we have member focus groups all the time. We're not going to fix something unless we have a need, right? Or enhance something. So part of it is keeping that discipline, I think, as we build and grow.
Yeah, it's so organic, and it really feels like with some of those very same problems or not even problems, but realities that we face, AI and technology changes, that we're going to have to take that mindset to a much broader basis, like possibly all of humanity as we decide how to move forward. So sensibly navigating based on what is needed in real time and what the pulse of your organization and your members is reading. That's
That's it.
that's true on the ground leadership, so to speak.
Yes, exactly, and it served us well, and I think, it's very empowering going back to it's a people culture. I had a big breakfast with my whole operations team this morning. I spent a couple of hours just learning about, so what are the pain points? You know, how are you adopting, new technologies? How has it freed you up? And part of it was I get to learn new skills. I'm able to be cross-trained, that feels good because the investment we're making in our employees is paying off, but they're empowered too to do things a little bit differently. And so I think that combination with them at the center is really important.
Kind of back to the culture of Navigant on a company level, so to speak. One thing I've noticed and certainly listeners to Bartholomew Town know that we've had a lot of voices from Navigant on over the years, experts in different aspects of banking, financial well-being, broadly speaking, home ownership, all this first-time home ownership, all that stuff. But as I research the guests and start to prepare, I always see a lot of recognition and a lot of employee engagement, and that includes on social media, or I've been out to some events. So how do you approach that as a CEO?
Mm.
How do
I
you
think
approach your leadership and recognition of it?
Yeah, I think it's part of it is just rooted in sort of the family values. We have a culture of care. We talk about our vision and our mission, but we never talk about those without the employees being at the center of it. Because at the end of the day, if you make the right investment and your employees are happy, and part of it is a career approach. It's not transactional. Oh, I came in for a teller job. What we're doing is we're meeting with you and showing you how that career can kind of flourish. And it's a very deliberate investment in learning and development. And so I think part of that is powerful. And then we're able to wrap around that recognition for living the core values, right? It's our core values are called Lucy, and that was homegrown by our employees: leadership, unity, caring, and integrity. So anytime a peer sees somebody else exhibit one of those, we're giving a Lucy Award. That gets funneled up. We blast it out across the credit union. They get nominated into what's called a President's Club. I'm hosting monthly breakfasts for those who were hired in a particular month, bringing groups together who are sharing their success stories about wellness or about what they've done in learning and development. And I just think that is what's keeping the culture. But we do absolutely recognize the small things matter, the connections in the hallway. Yeah, we're a remote shop, but we also 3 days a week have everybody come in. And I think that is keeping us grounded and connected in an environment where I think it can be all virtual. You lose a little bit there. That's my philosophy anyway. Um, and then we just recently had a big signature event. We have it once a year, and it's always about the employees. And we closed every location at 12 o'clock to have everybody in one spot. We did a big tailgate party. We did a ton of recognition for employees around years of service, above and beyond awards. And people are still talking about it. That was 2 weeks ago, and there's just a buzz around that. So we don't just say it. I think, we put it into action in various ways.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I think of Jamie Dimon and his comments on this, on the idea, the work from home company culture. Are you ready to take the next step in your career? At URI Online, we offer business and leadership-focused programs designed to fit your life. Whether your goal is to advance your career in fields like public administration, supply chain management, or training and development, our online programs provide the flexibility you need with a high-quality education you deserve. Learn from experienced faculty and collaborate with a network of professionals, all from the comfort of your home or wherever life takes you. Visit uri.edu/online to explore programs and start building your future today. URI Online, learn anywhere with us. Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by Newport Film. Visit newportfilm.com. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org. Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by Waterfire Providence. Visit waterfire.org. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hottest media analysis, and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. Learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. Follow me on Instagram at Bill Bartholomew. Exercise, and obviously very different scale of organizations that we're talking here, but it's a fascinating thing where he really wants everybody in the office 5, if not more days a week. In fact, talks about how he works 7 days a week in the office. And then you look at, you could list a whole bunch of other firms that have gone fully remote, and their productivity and even some of their individual metrics, especially in the AI sector, they're through the roof in terms of productivity. So there's no formula. But what does count, what it sounds like you're saying, is that culture is a must. And in order to achieve that, there's a balance that you find successful in sort of this hybrid approach with your employees.
It absolutely is, because you have to, that ship has sailed sort of post-COVID, right? We're all trying to figure it out and get back. But one of the things that we're grounded in is being connected to one another, sharing values. There's a tremendous amount of learning through each other and mentors. We've got programs like a leadership academy where our faculty, our staff, and we're really lifting people up and developing them in ways. You've got to be present in order to hear those little nuances and conversations and things. But at the same time, family matters, and we put them first. So you need flexibility in life. And I don't think you can have a hard and fast. I think it is an absolute balance and of empowering and allowing, giving those employees what they need. And then they just want to show up. It doesn't, it's not even something they feel disgruntled about, right? They look forward to coming in on those other days.
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset that institutions are figuring out for themselves, but it sounds like Navigant has it, at least in a way that you're satisfied with right now.
Yeah, and it's working. We continually ask for feedback and enhance programs when we can, and that is something I think is important. They have a voice in anything that we do.
It's an unusual job market right now. That's an understatement. Tremendous uncertainty about the future of industries and specifically positions within it. The dichotomy is, well, things are going to get a lot more bleak for certain white-collar workers in the near future. Others say, actually, no, it's just going to be, you're going to be able to be more productive because of the tools that are available and are coming. Whatever the case is, it's becoming a very competitive job market right now. So as a CEO, as a president of a community financial institution, how do you retain talent? How do you attract talent? And how much of that is culture and how much of that is something else?
I think part of it is, as I said, even though we're people first, you have to consult with experts, right? So we're continually scanning the industry and even outside our own banking sector. Some of the best learnings come from different types of organizations and industries. And so our staff, they're very much involved. Like we have employees involved in over 50 organizations on boards, associations, not necessarily banking sector. The learnings that get infused back into the credit union is just incredible. And so part of it is that. So that's like almost like a learning organization. A ton of investment in talent. We're doing our homegrown programs, but we also just ran for several, I would say maybe 80 of our officers, a program called Unreasonable Hospitality, right? I don't know if you've heard of it, but part of it is our differentiator is on extraordinary experience. And so we do that through focus groups, but we also do that through consistent training and making sure that we don't, as we grow and we're learning new things, that we don't lose sight of, well, what was that experience to the end user? It's great that it's flashy and it's AI and nobody had to underwrite that loan, but what was the unintended consequence? So we think through talent we need for maybe new AI, but then at the same time, you can't lose sight of what's important, and that's the story about the household or the business that you may know. There's a situation that AI won't be able to read. So we're retooling and retraining our teams to look at things a little bit differently while protecting the experience for that consumer. And so they get excited about it. Instead of being afraid of it, yes, you have to infuse with talent, but it's a balance of the folks that have the institutional knowledge that says there's a member at the other end of that, whether it's a collections or underwriting a loan. And so we do a lot of use cases and we do it with our employees. And I think that's the balance.
Yeah, really interesting. Last question. Navigant as an institution is certainly well known for your support of local businesses. How does that play in beyond just one? Sometimes it's business, it's your business involved there, or in the sense of the activities of your banking activities, but it's also sometimes sponsorship. There's obviously a lot of things that happen, but there's something else there. I know we have a partnership.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. It's just a good feeling to have these connections happen. How much of that is a part of your overall sort of ethos?
I think it's a major part because, again, I always go back to the mission that we've been able to protect and deliver on, and it's well-being for families, businesses, and community. You know our story in terms of philanthropy and our impact, right? Over $2 million, 500 organizations. We're proud of that. But we volunteer. So we had over 4,000 hours volunteered at various organizations last year in Rhode Island. But more than that, we spotlight and showcase all of the businesses that we can in Rhode Island that we have relationships with, because essentially they're the backbone. They're our neighbors. And this is how we thrive economically and locally. We know that. So we're investing back and sponsoring our businesses. Every month, we have 25 branches. We showcase a different business and do a spotlight at each one of our branches. And so we rotate it once a month. That I would tell you the response that we've gotten is just thank you. It's a different way of promoting us. And we don't have to do that, but that's something that I think is so important. And so, and then they have a voice. Part of it is we just launched a major new cash management commercial line of products. And to do that, you can just promote them and hopefully you have people walk in the door. What we're doing is going to existing businesses and talk about, here's a new cash management line. We can optimize your cash in your business through and help you protect from a fraud perspective. Pilot this with us and tell me how we go to market. So I think it's that relationship and they become partners in what we're doing. It's absolutely woven into everything that we do. And so that has kind of been the recipe for success for us.
Kathy Orovitz, Navigant Credit Union, navigantcu.org. Thanks so much for your time, as always.
Thank you, Bill, for having us and being such a great partner. Appreciate you.
Likewise.
Follow me on Instagram at Bill Bartholomew.